Well, Razorback fans, we know the coaching search is getting closer to coming to an end, and it seems like some of you have just gone full stupid on the thing, so let's just embrace it here on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I'm your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday as you finally made to the Friday that is of Game Day Eve, and we'll have a little crossover action with Locked On Texas, Locked On Longhorns. I think it's Locked On Longhorns. Doesn't matter. Texas sucks. So either way, we'll be doing that here in just a bit. But I know that many of you, of course, are all about the coaching search. It's just nonstop, man. And I've had fun with it for the most part. I think everybody's just ready for it to come to an end. But something started happening over the past few days. And I know that there are a lot of people out there on social media, a lot of people that are not on social media, and you try to listen, you try to understand of like who's doing what when it comes to the coaching search itself. And there's always names getting thrown around, but I just felt like over the past few days, is it trolling? Is it just people hopeful? Whatever. I have started getting messages from people that I actually know are people and are meaning well about some pretty absurd candidates. Like Dabo Swinney. Hey, John, what do you know about Dabo Swinney? Hey, John, what do you know about Kenny Dillingham? Hey, John, Kliff Kingsbury. I've heard he's interested. What have you heard? I think there might be something in the water. I think that it's getting to the point. And it's part of it, folks. It's part of every coaching search that I can remember. But we get to a point to where we all start, it's like, when you don't have enough sleep, which kind of how I was last night, and you start getting loopy and delirious and you start laughing hysterically and you don't know why. And because it's not really that funny what you're laughing at, but you just start laughing a bit and everyone's like, oh, is this guy okay? That's kind of how I feel like Razorback fans are getting. They're getting slap happy. They have been staying awake this entire time with this coaching search. They have not fallen asleep. They've just been getting more and more and more amped and just getting fed a bunch of information, getting fed some placebo pills of, hey, it's not anything, but you need something, so you need to act like you're getting something. And people are getting loopy. They're getting stupid with it. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And so I'm going to utilize this first segment in here in this show and dive into the madness that is the Razorback fandom and coaching search that they're all going through right now. This is what's going to be so fun about it. I'm sure somebody will hear this podcast and be like, thinking that I'm saying all these coaches are going to be the next head coach, and there lies the issue. But I'm just looking at it from a fun perspective. Let's just have fun with it, okay? Let's have fun with the idea of a Dabo Swinney. Again, making sure everybody knows I have no indication that Dabo Swinney is going to be the next head coach at Arkansas. No reason to believe that. But wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't that be like the closest to a John Calipari hire that Arkansas could make? Because that's what everybody's been asking about. Maybe they'll go in and get the John Calipari type of hire. Well, Dabo Swinney would definitely be it. The guy's been electric, and he's been at Clemson for dadgum near 20 years. It's crazy to think about. But literally from 2011 to 2024, you're talking about roughly 14 years straight. He only had 1 year where he did not win double-digit games. 1 year. And that was in 2023 when they went 9-4. Now, he's 5-5 this year, 4-4 in conference play. They're not very good. Maybe it's time for a change, right? Maybe it's time for a new energy somewhere else. Yeah, Dabo would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? think everybody would get behind it. I mean, let me just rattle these off for you. Since 2011, 10 wins, 11 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins, 14 wins, 14 wins, 12 wins, 15 wins, 14 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. Yep, that's pretty good. How about the final ranking in the AP poll since 2011? 22, 11, 8, 15, 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 14, 13, 20, 14. Yep, sounds pretty incredible to me. Now, do I believe that Dabo Swinney is going to come to Arkansas again? No. If he did come to Arkansas, though, how would I feel about it? Yeah, I'd be pumped. Like, forget all this nonsense about people liking him or not liking him. I'd be ecstatic. Look at that resume. What's going to happen here? What could he do? What could he accomplish? He does something right. The man's won 2 national championships. The man was able to beat Bama, beat Nick Saban multiple times in those championships. Give credit where credit is due. I don't care how long ago it was. I would take him in a heartbeat, and it would be awesome. But what about Kenny Dillingham, right? That's another name that got started getting thrown around. Now, he may not be the huge name and have all the crazy stuff surrounding him like Dabo. In fact, the stupidest thing about it is that Kenny Dillingham is literally the age of 35. He's younger than me. That's insanity. I don't even like that. I knew he was young, but I didn't realize he was that young. Goodness gracious. Either way, he was at Memphis for a few years, and then he was at Auburn in 2019 as the OC and quarterback coach. Then he went to Florida State as the OC quarterback coach. Then he was at Oregon, and then he was at Arizona State. And in 2023, he went 3-9. Not too good. But then we all know in 2024, went 11-3. Cam Scatabo, they finished 7th in the country, and this year they're 7-3, 5-2 in the Big 12. So would I take Kenny Dillingham? Of course I would. Who wouldn't? People talked about maybe his lacking of NIL, which, would that be, here? But let's be very clear about this, folks. The man went to Arizona State, and that's where he coaches. He's from Phoenix. He was born in Phoenix. He played high school in Arizona. Like, again, I would love for this to be a thing, but wouldn't that not be one of the wildest stories? Because they're not trying to fire him. Be the wildest story ever. If he's like, man, I'm from Arizona. It's my alma mater. I just coming off a playoff appearance last year. Got a good thing going this year. I'm going to go to Arkansas. I mean, can't argue that logic. Makes sense to me. Just madness, man. Just stupid madness that I'm here for, and I like to have some fun with. And because that's what it's about. It's about having fun, right? So let's just keep it going with the absurdity. Let's go with Kliff Kingsbury. Why not? Is he as big of a name or as successful as some like to think? Probably not. But you know what? The guy's got coaching experience all over the place. College, the NFL. I mean, the guy was a really good college football player himself. Got drafted in the 6th round of the NFL. So he's been all over the place, man. He's been all over the place. And currently, he's the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator, to which they've been having a pretty effective offense, statistically speaking. But what cracks me up about this is there's people that really get excited about Kliff Kingsbury. Now, would I give Kliff Kingsbury a chance? Of course I would. But people forget, like, he was at Texas Tech for 6 seasons and was very average. Went 35-40, 19-35 in the Big 12. Coached Patrick Mahomes. I guess he did beat Arkansas, but he went 8-5, 4-8, 7-6, 5-7, 6-7, 5-7. And then he went into Arizona because the Cardinals were like, hey, we should hire this guy as the head coach. And he went 5-18, 8-8, got better. 11-6, not too bad. But then went 4-13, and then was all over for him. And then he went to USC, where he was a senior offensive analyst under Lincoln Riley, so not too bad, where he worked with Caleb Williams. And then, of course, he comes back. So the point is he going to be the next head coach? No. But it would be kind of funny. It would be kind of wild if he decided to make the jump to Arkansas and of all the places to just step down at that NFL post. But then again, he'd probably have to leave in the middle of the season. And would that cause a problem? I'm sure it would. But hey, why not? Why not? I mean, he had Case Keenum, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. The man knows how to coach quarterbacks. So let's just bring him in too. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of other names that we could get stupid with. People just throwing stuff out there, of like who's interested and who's not. Just like Dan Lanning's always going to get that stupid thing. Folks, none of these guys, at least from any national perspective, that was being reported that they are actually interested in the job, or that they would take the job, or that it would even make sense for them to be the next head coach at Arkansas. But the reason I brought this all up is to have some fun with it, for one, and two, because it goes to show you that when there's a long period of time of no one knowing anything except for little things here and there, like James Franklin and Arkansas whiffing on James Franklin, the interest in Rhett Lashley that was there, obviously the idea behind the other coaches of the group of 6 that have been reportedly talked to, and all of those things, you start to get in your mind as you get closer to the finish line of, what if there's something that jumps in front? What if there's somebody that pulls ahead and you don't even see it coming, and boom, there it is. And you're like, holy crap, how did we not think of that? That was a crazy thing. How did we not even consider that that could be an option? Isn't that fun? It's fun to think about. And the reason I don't get mad at Razorback fans for doing stuff like this, because there's trolling accounts on Twitter and on social media that are just messing with people like this, and that's fine. It's all fun. It's all in fun. But the reason I don't get mad at Razorback fans is because for the first time in a while, excitement kind of sets in, you know? It's nice to have a change of pace. Not a doom and gloom. Not everything's coming to an end. And who knows, maybe the coaching hire himself may bring on a lot of negativity, depending on who it is. But it's nice to see some fun being had. We've seen crazier things happen than some random coach that's really good that no one's really thought of come in at the last minute and take the job. Not saying it's going to happen, but man, oh man, be a lot cooler if it did. Yes, Arkansas, Texas happens this weekend, and we're going to do a little crossover action with the Locked On Longhorns. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, we know college football's in full swing. You got the NFL, got college basketball, college football, the NBA, everything going on with the sporting events. You know, you're excited about it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets for these events can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. It's ridiculous, but that's why I always use the Game Time app. The app that gives advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Anytime that I've pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps, I see all the amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. It's as simple as that. I mean, what could be better than going into these games, or like Arkansas basketball, which you know a lot of you trying to find tickets that way? You're going to find them the cheapest and the best with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets or basketball tickets with Game Time. Download your Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
It's Texas and Arkansas, an old Southwest Conference rivalry renewed in the Southeastern Conference. We're previewing tomorrow's game right now alongside John Nabors of Locked On Razorbacks. I am BK Brad Kellner with Locked On Longhorns. John, it hasn't been the year that either fan base would have wanted. I'm just curious. I know how much Arkansas hates Texas, but with the way this season has gone downhill for the Razorbacks, do Hawks fans even care about beating Texas, or is everybody so focused on the new coach and what's going to happen in 2026?
Yeah, well, first off, I just love the fact that it's like, the season had gone great for, either team, while Texas is sitting at 17th in the country, 7-3 overall, and Arkansas would love to be in that. Instead, they're 2-8, 0-6 in conference play, and have lost every conference game by just one single possession. So yeah, it's totally the same boat both of these teams are in. But still, no, it's a thing to where Arkansas fans, because of how the season's gone, they're checked out because they just want it to be over with and get to the coaching search. Like, that's the thing. However, it would just be really funny if they beat Texas. It's like one of those things they're going to watch. People are going to watch the game. They're going to be interested in it. I'm sure it'll end in a one-score possession loss like it always does for Arkansas. But I think overall, fans would just be having something nice, at least during the interim era of Bobby Petrino, to have. A win over Texas on the road would be a nice little gesture.
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this question, but is there a chance Bobby Petrino gets this job if he beats Texas on Saturday, or is that ship long sailed?
I think it's sailed, but beating Texas, because there's a lot of people that still want Bobby, even after this start and even after this deal. And I'll admit, I was one of those that wanted Bobby at least to be in serious contention when he was named as interim, because I'm a huge Bobby Petrino fan, was when he was at Arkansas originally. But you just can't hire the guy permanently if he goes 0-7, even though they've been better, even though they've been in these games. I mean, they gave A&M all that they wanted. But at the end of the day, we can't go 0-7 and then just get everybody excited about it. So the people who really want Bobby, if they beat Texas, it would definitely add some energy to their argument. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, if you beat Texas on the road, now you just got to give Bobby the job. I'm just not going to be that.
Yeah, you talked about it. Arkansas is 2-8. They may be the most dangerous 2-8 team of all time. You guys are on the Mount Rushmore of moral victories this year. 6 losses in SEC play, 5 of them by 1 score. The other one was by 9 points to Auburn. That was a game the Razorbacks led going into the fourth quarter, and it was only a 2-possession game because Auburn kicked a garbage time field goal at the very end. What's been going on? I mean, we'll start with the bad, I guess, then we'll get to the good. But why have the Hogs been unable to win any of these close games?
Dude, there needs to be a scientific study on this team and everything, because as I mentioned, A&M's undefeated. And as weird as it is, I think some Razorback fans may even root for Texas over Texas A&M when you guys play, for what that's worth. I don't know. But either way, A&M's undefeated. And Arkansas was at home. It was a stormy game. And they gave them all that they wanted. And everyone's like, dude, look at this. This is, we go on the road to Tennessee and lost by a field goal, and, moral victories and all, but still, like, we could beat Auburn. We could beat Mississippi State. We could do this. But it's like Arkansas looks at the opposing team and says, all right, how good is our opposing team? Are they up here? Well, we're going to play right here. Or are they down here? Well, we're still going to play right here. It's like, whatever it is, they're going to play just a little bit worse. And that's what's been the frustrating thing and I got to give credit to Bobby Petrino and the team. They haven't given up. I don't know how they haven't. I would have given up. It's just, you've done a good job with that. But mistakes, turnovers, missed field goals, it's always just one or two things. It's never the same thing. It's just one or two things that ends up losing these games. And that's why it's like, against Texas, why would it be anything different? Why would it be anything different between these two teams?
Yeah, I think the biggest on paper statistical difference between these teams is the turnovers, right? Arkansas second to last in the country in turnover margin. Texas has done a good job protecting the football on offense. They've been opportunistic on defense. Is it as simple as, man, if Arkansas just had like 3 or 4 less turnovers, they'd have a couple of wins in SEC play?
Yes. It's like, yeah. It's one of those things where you can say also the same about penalties. They had like 18 penalties against Mississippi State. If they had one less, they probably win. Like that's how small the margin of error has been for this team. But if it happens as often as it has, you start to think, okay, it isn't just a coin flip. It isn't just hey, bad luck. There's just a lack of a winning mentality about this team. And it's something to where I wouldn't surprise me at all if Arkansas and Texas is in a dogfight and Arkansas's right there, and they're down by 1 point, and they got to kick a 27-yard field goal to win, and they miss it. It's just because that's what it is. No matter what it is, it's going to happen for Arkansas right now.
I think the one thing y'all haven't done yet is lose in overtime. So maybe that finally happens.
There you go.
That's your new way to invent a loss this weekend. I know Texas fans are hoping this game gets nowhere close to that. I want to ask you about Taylen Green. Obviously, Longhorn fans got to see him last year. He's one of the most electric playmakers in the conference with his legs. If you take away his sack yardage, he's averaging 9 yards a carry. He's a total weapon. Obviously, though, with his arm, he's hot and cold. He's got 10 interceptions this year. I mean, he will throw you the football. What makes Taylen Green such a tough guard, and why has he been so up and down throughout his Arkansas career?
It's all in the head, man. It's just a mental thing. I compare him to a home run hitter who gets a lot of strikeouts. Like when he hits home runs, man, it's fun. Like he's extremely gifted. He's 6'6". He could outrun so many different players defensively, and he can beat you with his legs, and he can make some plays that just wow you. But then the very next possession, he will be looking at one wide receiver for 4 seconds in triple coverage and just still make the throw. And you're like, what? How? Like, what did you even see? So it's frustrating. And it's just a matter of you got to mix good with bad. And does the good in a game outweigh the bad? It's what you're hoping for. So I think that he's definitely improved his game from a year ago, but there's ways to stop him. And all you got to do is just get him to have that one first mistake, because that's what it seems like. That first bad throw, that first strip sack, that whatever it is, big hit, he starts to fold a little bit. So it's frustrating. And I think that's why Razorback fans, they don't really know how to feel about Taylor Green. They love him, but they hate him at times. It's tough. But, the quarterback situation with Texas, I know, has been an interesting one this year anyways. So if they need, though, a little bit of boost of confidence, this Razorback defense hasn't been great, and maybe this is what they need.
Yeah, well, diving into some of these matchups, right? I'm curious to get your thoughts. Obviously, you're locked in on Arkansas, but I know you've watched some Texas leading up to this game. Statistically, Arkansas has a pretty good offense. Number 3 in the SEC in total yards, number 6 in points per game. They're very explosive, but obviously the Texas defense does a lot of things right, and they're really good at stopping the run, which I know has been a big key for the Hogs offense all season long. What are your thoughts on the matchup against Bobby Petrino's offense and Pete Kwiatkowski's Texas defense?
I'll be honest. I think Bobby Petrino's offense has done awesome this year, statistically speaking. I think that it may have wavered here recently, but there was a time just a week or so ago where Arkansas had the number 3 passer, the number 3 rusher, and the number 3 wide receiver, as well as having the second sack leader in the SEC. So it's like, hey, you think of these things. How is this team 2-8? Well, we all ask that same question, but I think that it's a matter of this Texas defense has dudes. They just have dudes, and it's going to be a struggle for Arkansas. I think that the offense, Bobby may have a great scheme. I think he'll have some good play calls. It may even be something that Arkansas starts off fairly strong offensively, but once Texas settles in, they're going to cause problems. If they get after Taylor Green, as I mentioned, all it takes is one mistake, and it might be curtains. It could be as quickly as that. So I think Texas has definitely the better defense. I think they're going to really cause some problems for Arkansas. But, at the same time, it's like to look at Texas defense past few games. I'm like, well, maybe there's something there that has been exploited and Bobby Petrino can find a way. So talent-wise, Texas definitely has the advantage, but I know Texas's defense seems to have been struggling over the past few weeks.
Yeah, last question for this opening crossover segment. What about the Arkansas offensive line, right? I mean, Texas's strength on defense is up front. You're right. They've been leaky in the secondary recently. Georgia and Vanderbilt both outscored Texas 21-0 in the fourth quarter of those games. Vanderbilt did it to come back. Georgia did it to run away. But the Texas D-line has been great. Pass rushing and against the run. Can the Hogs O-line hold up this weekend?
Decently enough. I think Texas, again, since that's their strength, I don't think once they run into the Arkansas offensive line, that's suddenly when they're going to be like, oh man, what do we do here? Arkansas has a decent offensive line. It's not elite level, but it's not terrible. There's been times that they've had, some breakdowns and whatnot, but it's when you go up against a matchup like this, it's the worrisome deal. And there's no doubt, as I've always said, especially in the SEC and defense, if you have an elite defensive line, you can have an average linebacker core and an average secondary, and you'll have a great defense because it's just so disruptive. And again, I think Arkansas can find some success. I think Petrino's probably going to know that and have some, whether it's some certain screen passes or certain things to kind of alleviate that. But at the end of the day, if they get to Taylor Green and if they can't offset the run with Mike Washington, it just may be a long day for the Razorback offense.
Yeah. All right. We'll flip the script. We'll talk about the Texas offense against the Razorback defense in a moment. We'll also give some game score predictions as well. Talk a little bit about this rivalry too. That's all coming up next on a crossover here on Locked On Longhorns and Locked On Razorbacks.
Hey, Razorback fans, as well as all you Longhorn fans out there, we know that it is still in full swing for the college football season, and FanDuel, there's no better place to get in on the action than the official sports betting partner of not only the NBA, but the NFL as well. And even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride any hot hands, this is the way to do it. Arkansas is, I believe at this point in time, 8.5-point underdogs. And you know what? I'm probably going to take the Razorbacks because those one possession losses, they just love so much. So could be really interesting. But if you're a Longhorn fan, that this is the time you're just going to squash an inferior opponent, may want to get in on that line. Or if you're a Razorback fan that wants to win money and say, hey, we almost always win, then that's the way you need to do it with the Razorbacks. But if you're going to do it, make sure you do it with FanDuel. And they're giving away new customers to $300 in bonus bets, where if your first $5 bet wins, you get $300. It's as simple as that. So head over to FanDuel.com and sign up today with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, back here, crossover episode, Locked on Longhorns, Locked on Razorbacks. John Nabors, Brad Kellner with you, talking Texas and Arkansas, of course, coming up tomorrow afternoon in Austin. All right, John, spent a lot of time in our first segment talking about the Arkansas offense. You know, statistically speaking, the Hogs offense is pretty good. Statistically speaking, the Hogs defense is about as bad as you could be. They rank last or second to last in the SEC in pretty much every major statistical category. Do they do anything well, or is it just bad at all three levels for them?
It's so weird where it goes back to the whole indication of this team where they'll do some things right in one game and you're like, hey, maybe they figured something out. Maybe they found something with the pass rush. And then the next game, they won't have a single person in the backfield on the D-line and the quarterback stays upright the whole time. There'll be times the secondary makes some plays on the ball. Like, wow, okay, so maybe they're starting to feed in. They got the rotations figured out. But then the next game, they will get just burnt for 500 yards passing. It's just, there's no consistency, no rhyme or reason to it. And it makes it so weird because I'd like to sit here and say, well, the one strength of this team is this or that, but it's not really there. I guess the one redeeming quality would be Quincy Rhodes, the defensive end, who I believe is second in the SEC in sacks and may have just played his way into a possible first-round draft pick. I've seen some NFL mock drafts have him there. He's been really good for Arkansas, but besides that, there really has not been any sort of consistency or anything that's made sense. So they don't have a whole lot of NFL talent caliber guys. They have some okay players. Quincy Rhodes might be that, but other than that, it's just bend, not break, do the best you can, and hopefully somebody makes a bad pass to where you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. What do you make of this Texas offense? You know, like I would love the Longhorn rushing attack to get going against Arkansas's run defense, which ranks 15th in the SEC. But Texas played Mississippi State, who ranks dead last in the conference in rushing, and the Longhorns ran it 32 times for 72 yards. So it doesn't matter who they're going up against. They've struggled to run the football. Arch Manning's gotten better over the last few weeks. He's really done a good job protecting the football. I know he did have an interception against Georgia, but he's really cleaned up his game. But is there anything on the Texas offense that worries you in particular going into tomorrow?
It's just going to be about the physicality of a team that can possibly overpower Arkansas, which, again, I'm not sitting here saying that Texas has the most physical team. You mentioned the rushing attack and how it struggled a little bit, but it's a matter of as the game goes on. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Arkansas found some success defensively early against Texas. Maybe they even caused a turnover. Maybe there was a couple 3-and-outs. Like that's happened. It's not impossible, but it's a matter of as the game wears on. And if Arkansas can't do anything offensively to help the defense, then defense is going to wear down really quickly. They don't have depth. They just do not have depth, especially up front on the D-line. They have some solid players, but if you get into that fourth quarter and the defense has already been out there longer than the offense, and you start to see some just big plays here and there, I think the breakdown could be on, and it could cause some problems for Arkansas. So it's just a matter of, can Texas do enough to keep the game within arm's reach and then just wear down that defense? And if they do get the run game going against Arkansas, they're going to make quick work of them. It's that type of level.
Now, John, you said something a few minutes ago that kind of shocked me, honestly. You said there might be some Razorback fans who root for the Longhorns next Friday against Texas A&M. Like, what's that about, man? I always thought, I know these teams were in separate conferences for a long time, but I always thought Arkansas hated the Texas Longhorns more than anybody or anything in the world. Has some of that hate maybe dissipated over the years? Like, what's up with that?
I don't think it's dissipated over the years, and I don't speak for every Razorback fan because there's probably some that'll still root against Texas. I'm just saying that Arkansas hates both Texas and Texas A&M, and they probably hate Texas more than Texas A&M. However, sometimes what's the old adage, like the greatest friend that you have is the enemy of your enemy, or something to that extent. It could be like that level, because no one wants to see Texas A&M in the playoff. No one wants to see them go to the SEC title game. Like, no one wants to watch that. So if Texas is already out of it, Razorback fans can be like, all right, well, maybe we'll just root for Texas, so that way, neither team goes in, because that's best of all worlds. But I I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how many people are even going to care at that point from Arkansas, but who knows? Maybe there's some that's rooting for the Longhorns over the Aggies.
Yeah, I think if we want the Aggies out of the playoff, which don't get me wrong, we do too, we're going to need Samford to pull off the upset of all upsets tomorrow. And I got a hard time thinking that's going to happen. All right, John, last question. How about a game score prediction? As you mentioned, Texas currently an 8.5-point favorite. The Longhorns actually opened up as a 10.5-point favorite. And I think people realize that, well, all Arkansas does is play one-score games. I'm very intrigued to see the motivation level for both teams, right? Like Texas was not done any favors by the College Football Playoff Committee. Seems like a very uphill battle for them to make the field of 12 at this point. Obviously, the Arkansas fans, I mean, you told me what they're thinking right now. You think this game is close, or is this the game where it all totally falls apart for the Razorbacks?
Well, here's the deal. I think it could be the game that it all falls apart. But until I see it, I'm not going to predict it because it's just, again, this team – I thought it could have been against LSU. It didn't happen that way. It just seems like they're still fighting for something, and you got to give them a lot of credit. But I think I saw that Texas is averaging 27 points a game, something to that extent,
yep.
Which is kind of close to last, not dead last, but close to last in the SEC. But Arkansas is also a defense that is dead last in the SEC by far when it comes up to how many points they give up per game. So it's just a little bit of a weird conundrum there. I'll say this, though. I think Arkansas, once again, keeps it close because I think they, for whatever reason, they're always going to play a little bit harder against Texas regardless. I think that Arkansas and Texas last year was a closer game than what it should have been. I know it's down there in Austin. And I think that, Texas, who knows, maybe they're overlooking Arkansas to go against the Aggies. Maybe that'll happen. But I think it's close. I still think Arkansas loses. I don't think either teams look great in this one, especially offensively. So I'll say Arkansas loses this one by a final score of, let's do something stupid like 26-22. Just something gross like that. 26-22.
That sounds gross. Yeah, you and I chopped it up in Atlanta for SEC Media Days, and you said you wouldn't respect Texas if they lost to Arkansas this year. So I'm holding you to that take.
They need to fire Steve Sarkisian if they lose this game. Just saying.
God, some fans are already ready to do that. I'm going to go Texas 31, Arkansas 24. I'm with you. I think the Hogs cover. I think this is a one-score game because that's what y'all do. I'm worried about Anthony Hill not playing for Texas. This defense has been vulnerable. Part of me thinks 24 is not enough for the Hogs, but I think Texas finds a way to protect home field. They've been a lot better at home than on the road this season, and I think that sets up a very exciting matchup with Texas A&M on Black Friday. All right, he's John Nabors. If you don't follow him already, be sure to do so. You can find him on Twitter at John Nabors Show. Of course, subscribe to Locked On Razorbacks on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. I'm BK Brad Kellner. Subscribe, like, share, all of those great things. We all appreciate y'all's continued support of what we are building here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Y'all enjoy the game. John, this was fun, man. Thanks so much for doing this.
Anytime. Enjoy the game, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Likewise. All right. That'll do it for us. We'll talk to you all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns and Locked On Razorbacks.